Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Tonight's story is one that has haunted an entire town for decades. It's been whispered from one generation to the next, always the same chilling tale of a house that should have never been built and a family that should have never moved in. This isn't just a story about ghosts. It's a story about what happens when grief, guilt, and the past refuse to stay buried. It all started in the quiet countryside of Punjab, where the fields stretch endlessly and the nights fall heavier than anywhere else. There, at the edge of a forgotten village, stood a house made of stone and sorrow. No one knew exactly who built it first, only that whoever lived there never stayed for long. People said the walls breathed, that the floors creaked in patterns like footsteps following you wherever you went. In 1998, a school teacher named Farah and her husband Imran moved into that house. They wanted peace. After losing their only son, they left the city hoping the silence of the countryside might heal them. The house was cheap, beautiful in a strange old way. High ceilings, carved windows, and a courtyard that seemed to sigh whenever the wind passed through. For the first few days it was peaceful. The air was cool, the nights filled with crickets. But on the seventh night, everything began. Farah woke up to the sound of whispering. At first she thought it was the wind until she realized it was a child's voice, soft, fragile, calling her name. She sat up, heart-pounding, listening. The sound came from the hallway outside their bedroom. Imran was still asleep beside her, breathing steady. She whispered his name, but he didn't wake. Slowly, she got out of bed, opened the door, and stepped into the dark hall. The moonlight slipped through the cracks in the wooden ceiling, enough to see the outline of the walls. And at the end of the hall, standing barefoot, was a boy. He looked about 8, the same age as her son when he died. His head was slightly tilted, his eyes dark and hollow. He didn't move, didn't blink, just stared at her as though he'd been waiting. "Aram," she whispered. The boy smiled. Then he turned and ran down the corridor. Farah followed without thinking. Her bare feet slapped against the cold floor. The boy's laughter echoed, bouncing from one wall to the other. When she reached the end of the corridor, he was gone. The door in front of her, the old wooden door they'd never been able to open, was now slightly ajar. She hesitated. The smell coming from inside was foul, like damp earth and rot. She pushed the door open slowly and peered inside. It was a small room, almost a storage space. Dust, cobwebs, broken furniture, nothing else, but the air was freezing. She could see her breath. And then she heard it again, the whisper, right beside her ear. "Don't let him in." She spun around, no one there. The next morning she told Imran everything. He laughed it off. Said she was dreaming, still grieving, imagining things. But as days passed, Farah became quieter. She stopped going into that part of the house. The whispers didn't stop, they grew louder. Sometimes it was the boy, sometimes a woman crying. A week later, Imran heard it too. He was repairing a broken window when he heard someone humming, a soft lullaby just behind him. He turned, expecting to see Farah, but the hallway was empty. That night he asked her about the song. Farah froze. "That was my mother's lullaby," she said quietly. "I haven't sung it in years." Imran didn't reply, but from that day he began to wake up with scratches on his arms. Small, deep, as if someone had been clawing at him while he slept. Farah grew pale and withdrawn. She started keeping candles lit at all times, muttering prayers, refusing to let the lights go out. Then came the night that changed everything. A storm rolled through the valley, heavy and wild. Rain lashed against the windows. Thunder shook the walls. In the middle of it, Farah woke up to find Imran standing by the window, staring outside. She called his name, but he didn't move. His eyes were glassy, fixed on something beyond the courtyard. She walked over and touched his arm. "Imran, what are you looking at?" He pointed. "He's there." Farah followed his gaze and saw a small figure standing in the rain. The boy, the same one from her first night, only now his face was clearer. His eyes weren't hollow anymore, they were black, completely black, with no whites at all. Before she could react, lightning flashed and the boy was gone. Imran turned to her slowly, whispering, "He wants to come inside." Farah froze. The room felt heavier, the air too still. Rain battered against the window, yet inside, everything was silent, unnaturally silent. Imran's voice sounded distant, almost like someone else. She grabbed his hand. "Come back to bed." But he didn't move, his fingers were ice-cold. Then slowly he turned to her. His lips trembled as he whispered, "He says you called him." Farah's heart sank. She stumbled back, shaking her head. No, I didn't call anyone. But deep down she remembered that night, the whisper, the boy's smile, the way she had said her son's name out loud in the dark. Imran blinked rapidly as if waking from a trance. "What's happening to us?" he murmured. The next morning everything seemed normal again. Imran didn't remember much from the night before. He said it felt like a dream. But Farah could still feel the boy's presence. In every corner of the house, behind every creak, she felt him watching. One afternoon she found muddy footprints leading from the courtyard into the hallway. Small footprints, child-sized, they stopped right at their bedroom door. She scrubbed them clean, but the next day they were back. That evening she went to the village mosque and spoke to the imam. He listened quietly, his face growing pale as she described the boy. He told her the land on which the house was built was once a burial ground, not for ordinary people, but for children who died during an epidemic decades ago. Their grave had been moved when the land was sold. Some said not all souls rested peacefully. The imam gave her holy water and told her to recite verses every night. But when she returned home, the door to the storage room, the one that was always locked, was wide open. Inside, the candles she'd placed earlier had melted completely. The wax had dripped in strange circular patterns, almost like symbols. Imran refused to believe it was supernatural. "It's old wiring, bad air, imagination," he said. "We'll fix it." That night he moved his tools into the storage room, determined to prove nothing was wrong. Farah begged him not to, but he insisted. Hours passed, she heard hammering, the clinking of metal, then silence. When she went to check, Imran wasn't there. His tools lay scattered on the floor. The air felt damp, thick with the smell of decay. "Imran," she whispered. A faint voice echoed back, muffled, distant, as if coming from inside the walls. "Farah, help me." She screamed and ran to the wall. The sound was clearer now. He was calling from behind it. She banged on the plaster, shouting his name. No answer. Panicking, she grabbed a hammer and struck the wall. The plaster cracked, crumbled, and fell. Behind it was an old bricked-up doorway. She hit again until the last brick gave way, and a gust of freezing air blew out. She stepped closer, shining her flashlight through the hole. What she saw made her drop the light. There was a narrow passage leading into darkness, and on the damp walls, dozens of small handprints, tiny, overlapping, pressed deep into the stone. Farah stumbled back, trembling. Then from inside the passage came a faint sound, a child's laughter. She ran. She didn't stop until she reached the courtyard. That night, Imran didn't come back. Their names were Nadia and Hassan. Newly married, full of hope. They bought the house cheap, thinking the rumors were just old stories. For the first few days, everything seemed fine. They repainted the walls, fixed the windows, planted flowers in the courtyard. But the workers they hired refused to stay after sunset. They said they heard whispers in the halls. Nadia laughed it off. "Ghost stories," she said. "People just want to scare us." But one night she woke up to the sound of humming. A lullaby, the same one Farah once heard. The melody floated through the house, soft and low, coming from the old storage room. She nudged Hassan. "Do you hear that?" He frowned, listening. The sound stopped. Probably the wind. But Nadia couldn't shake the feeling that someone was watching. The next morning she found handprints on the mirror, small, wet handprints as if made by a child. That evening the power went out. The house fell into darkness. Hassan went to check the fuse box. Nadia lit a candle and waited in the bedroom. Minutes passed, then she heard footsteps, slow, dragging, coming down the hallway. "Hassan," she called out. No reply. The footsteps stopped outside the door. She held her breath. The door creaked open. A gust of cold air blew out the candle. In the faint moonlight, she saw a figure standing in the doorway, small, still. The child. His eyes gleamed black as coal. He tilted his head, studying her. Then he whispered something she couldn't understand, a language that sounded like sighs and moans mixed together. Nadia screamed and ran. The child's laughter echoed through the hall as she fled down the stairs. Hassan found her outside the house, shaking, unable to speak. When she finally did, her voice was barely a whisper. "There's a boy in there, he smiled at me." Hassan searched every room, nothing, but the air inside was freezing, colder than outside. The next few nights Nadia refused to sleep alone. They locked every door, kept lights on, burned incense. Still, the whispers came. Sometimes it was laughter, sometimes it was crying. One morning, Hassan woke up to find Nadia standing outside in the courtyard, barefoot, staring at the old well. Her nightdress was soaked. Her lips were moving silently, as if speaking to someone he couldn't see. He rushed to her. "Nadia, what are you doing?" She turned to him slowly, her eyes empty. "He's lonely," she said softly. "He just wants someone to play with." Hassan grabbed her shoulders and shook her. "Who are you talking about?" "The boy," she whispered, "the one in the walls." He pulled her away, terrified. They left the house that same day, swearing never to return. But sometimes, late at night, the villagers say they still see a candle burning in the window. A woman's silhouette standing beside a small boy. And from the courtyard, the faint echo of a lullaby. That was where the story should have ended. But one last detail remained, something no one knew, something hidden beneath the house itself. In 2019, a developer bought the property to demolish it and build new homes. The workers began digging the foundation. 2 days later, they stopped. What they found beneath the floor made every man there run in silence. A narrow tunnel sealed with bricks, and inside it dozens of tiny skeletons. Children, buried together, their bones tangled like roots. And among them, the remains of a man and a woman holding hands. No one ever identified them, but the villagers whispered that it was Farah and Imran, finally reunited, trapped with the lost souls they could never escape. The construction was never completed. The land was abandoned once more. But sometimes travelers passing that road say they see a dim red light glowing through the fog. Some even claim to hear the sound of children laughing. Others hear knocking, 3 slow knocks, coming from beneath the ground. Months passed after the construction site was sealed off. The village grew quiet again, pretending to forget. People avoided the road near the old property. Children were warned not to go near it. But as always, curiosity never stays buried for long. In 2022, a small group of paranormal investigators visited the site. They had heard about the stories, the disappearances, the bones. Their goal was to prove or disprove what people believed. They brought cameras, recorders, and night vision. The leader of the group was a man named Rehan, a former journalist turned ghost hunter. He didn't believe in spirits, he believed in evidence. The team arrived just before sunset. The house was still standing, though half its roof had collapsed. Vines grew over the walls. The wooden door creaked like a whisper when Rehan pushed it open. Inside, the air was thick with dust. The smell of damp wood and rust lingered. Every sound echoed like footsteps that didn't belong to them. Rehan switched on his recorder. "We're inside now," he said. "No temperature drops yet, no EMF spikes." One of the team members, a woman named Sana, pointed at the far end of the hall. That's where they said the storage room was. They walked slowly. The deeper they went, the colder it got. The corridor stretched endlessly in the dark, like the house itself was breathing. In the storage room, the walls were cracked. The plaster had peeled off, revealing faint markings, circles, symbols, small handprints. Rehan shone his flashlight on them. "Looks like some kind of ritual graffiti," he said, "probably made by kids." Sana frowned. "No, look at the size of the prints. They're too small, even for a child." Suddenly, one of the cameras glitched. The screen turned white for a split second, then static. When the picture returned, the storage room was empty, but the live feed showed movement. Something small crawling along the floor. Rehan turned to look, nothing there. The others looked uneasy. He replayed the footage. On the video, a shadow moved behind them, a small shape that darted past the wall. "Probably a rat," he muttered, but his voice trembled slightly. They decided to continue recording. They placed one camera in the hallway and another near the courtyard. Then they sat in silence, listening. Minutes passed. Then came the first sound, a faint knocking 3 times. Rehan looked up. That came from below. They followed the noise to the corner of the room, where the floorboards were slightly raised. Rehan pried them open with a... He turned sharply. Standing behind him were children, dozens of them, pale, drenched, eyes hollow. And among them stood a woman and a man holding hands. Farah and Imran. Their faces were calm, almost peaceful, but their eyes were empty. "You can't bless what never died," Farah said softly. Before the priest could react, the candles went out. The assistant screamed. The front door slammed shut. When villagers arrived later, They found the priest alone, sitting on the floor whispering prayers to himself, his hair turned white. The others were never found. He refused to speak of what he saw. The only words he ever said about that night were, "They were waiting for me but not to be saved." After that, the government sealed the house, declaring it unsafe. Metal sheets covered the windows, the ground was fenced off. But every few months someone breaks in, thrill seekers, ghost hunters, people chasing fame. None stay long. Most of their recordings end the same way, with faint laughter, flickering lights and a whispering voice saying, "Don't let him in." Those who hear it never forget it. Some say the voice follows them in their dreams, whispering from the dark corners of their room. The story became local legend, the House of the Lost Children. People tell it around fires, warn travelers not to stop near it after dark, but even legends have roots. Last winter, after heavy rains, part of the hill behind the house collapsed, exposing an old tunnel. Inside, the rescue team found fragments of wooden coffins, rusted toys, and one old photograph. It showed Farah and Imran standing in front of the same house, smiling, with a small boy between them. On the back, a line was written in faded ink, "Home at last." No one knows who took the picture or when. The photo now sits in a small museum nearby, inside a glass case. Visitors say that if you stand there long enough, you can see moisture fogging the glass, like someone breathing from the inside. And sometimes, when the lights flicker, the boy in the photograph seems to smile. The museum staff insists it's a trick of the light, but one guard quit after seeing something move behind the frame. He said he heard tapping, 3 soft knocks, and a child's voice whispering his name. Since then, no one stays after dark. And so the story lives on. A tale of grief, love, and something far beyond death, a house that still remembers everyone who ever stepped inside. Even now, if you drive through that part of Punjab and look toward the old field, you might see a faint red glow in the distance. And if you roll down your window, you might hear it, a soft lullaby floating through the air, and the laughter of a child who never left. If you do, whatever you do, don't answer when you hear the knock. Because once you let him in, he never leaves. Thanks for watching the video.